Chapter 282. Yunnan Village Practice Field. Cloud Flow Flying Blade. The blonde ninja held a short blade and slashed at the opposite side at an extremely fast speed. It flashed past like a cloud and cut a smooth section of the rock placed on the practice field. However, she was not satisfied with this result. No, I still don't have enough strength. I have to continue practicing. Just as she was about to continue practicing, a white-haired female ninja ran over excitedly. Samui. Looking at her friend who always made her worry, Samui said helplessly, "What's wrong now?" Sabina waved her hand. Shimizu Garashi went to Yunnan as a diplomatic envoy of Woodleaf. Shimizu Garashi? Samui had a complicated look in her eyes. For years ago, they were barely on the same level, but now, she could only look up to him. She calmed herself down and asked again, "But what does this have to do with you?" Sabina blinked. "How can it have nothing to do with me? I'm now a loyal follower of Garashi-sama. When did you become his follower? Why didn't I know?" "Oh, just now. You little traitor." Samui was speechless. "Don't forget, he's Yunnan's enemy. But the war is over." Sabina felt wronged. "Besides, I'm not the only one who thinks this way." At this point, Samui knew that his friend was not lying. For Yunnan, who had always worshipped the strong, most people did not dislike Shimizu Garashi. There were even many people who worshipped him like her idiot friend. Especially with Kirin and Rock Crypsis as a comparison, Yunnan's loss to Shimizu Garashi was not that obvious, and this group of people was even more justified in their betrayal. Samui said helplessly, "No matter what other people think, you should at least stand firm." "I'm very firm," Sabina said confidently. "What if he's captivated by my beauty and wisdom? Won't we be able to get a general for Yunnan?" Samui was expressionless. "Haha." Seeing Samui's obvious disdain, Sabina whispered softly, "People who think they're superior just because they have a girlfriend are the worst." Samui's eyes suddenly became dangerous. What did you say?" Sabina turned her head away guiltily. What did I say? By the way, Yujito Ren's seal still needs to be lifted by him. Are you sure you don't want to go and take a look? The seal of Yujito?" Samui frowned, then nodded slightly. "Indeed, we should go and take a look." Entering Cloud Village along the way, there were crowds of onlookers. But to Garashi's surprise, he didn't see much hatred in the eyes of these Yunnan ninjas. On the contrary, he saw respect and admiration in these people's eyes. Following behind Tsukasa, Garashi looked at the Yunnan ninjas and asked, "It seems that the people in your village don't hate me? Because we in Yunnan have always believed that the strong are respected. We will only give our blessings and admiration to the strong who defeated us." Another Yunnan ninja interrupted. "What we really hate is the Rock Crypsis, who used despicable tricks to kill the former Kage." The ninja next to him agreed. The story of Garashi-sama severely injuring the Tsuchikage is widely known in Yunnan. Rock Crypsis is indeed despicable. Garashi stood on the same side as them and said, but in his heart he was speechless. Yunnan doesn't seem to be that righteous, right? With the common topic of Rock Crypsis, the conversation between the two sides became inexplicably enthusiastic. But at this time, the surrounding voices suddenly became a lot quieter. Shushi looked up and saw Reikage striding towards him with a serious look on his face. Shushi narrowed his eyes at the unfriendly aura of the newcomer. Reikage strode in front of Garashi, looked at him and said, "Please fight with me." Before he finished his words, it pulled B to the side and whispered in a low voice, "Brother, I understand your eagerness to fight with him, but you are Reikage now. You represent Yunnan's face. You should pay attention to your own image." After saying so much in one breath and not using rap, AI inexplicably felt tears welling up in his eyes. This guy is finally willing to speak human language. But after being moved, a strong feeling of discomfort greeted him. "What do you mean by this? Do you think I will lose?" "Brother, are you serious? You don't really think you can win, do you?" Seeing A's shocked face, A's facial muscles twitched. "Within 7 steps, my physical speed is definitely faster than his printing speed." B frowned and said, "Does his flying thunder god Jetsu need to be printed?" While the two of them were whispering, the rest of the Cloud Ninjas were also gossiping about this matter. What did Reikich-sama mean by what he didn't say? Please fight with me. From Reikich-sama's eyes filled with desire, and Bai-sama's face full of shock, it's not difficult to guess that Reikich-sama's words should be please fight with me. What? Aren't they both men? What's wrong with that? True love can transcend race, time, and gender. Isn't this too taboo? What is this? If Reikich-sama wants to say please fight with me, then it's a real taboo. Under B's repeated advice, A reluctantly withdrew his intention to fight, and walked to Garashi with an unhappy face. Messenger of Woodleaf, I welcome you on behalf of Yunin. Garashi formally returned the greeting. Thank you Reikich-sama for your hospitality. On behalf of Naruto-sama, I would like to express my sincere condolences to you. I hope the friendship between the two villages will continue. A's mouth twitched slightly. He really couldn't deal with this kind of formal occasion. It would be nice if he could fight with him to express his condolences. Sutai, who was watching from the side, knew that his boss was impatient and quickly said, Reikich-sama, why don't we take Garashi to the banquet first? Well, okay. A responded dryly, but suddenly he tilted his head and wondered, what banquet? Sutai suddenly had a bad feeling in his heart, but he still asked, it's the banquet to welcome Garashi. There is a banquet? A complained. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Sutai pressed his face in pain. He couldn't be the Reikich-sama's assistant anymore. They were both Reikich-sama's assistants, but why was the gap between them so big? Sutai took a deep breath and said, Reikich-sama, you take Garashi to the village first, I will go and prepare. A patted him on the shoulder and said earnestly, this time I will cover for you. Next time, pay attention to yourself, and don't make such a careless mistake again. Earth platform, Earth platform, Earth platform, Earth platform. Chapter 283. This is the martial arts field, where we Yunin ninjas fight. This is the practice field, where we practice ninjutsu. This is the Thunder Cloud Sea, where I usually practice taijutsu. Under the enthusiastic guidance of A, every place they went was related to practice ninjutsu. It was as if he was frantically hinting for Shushi to fight. This was also A's idea. If you don't want me to mention it, then the other party can, right? Unfortunately, Garashi didn't seem to understand his intention at all. When they walked through the martial arts field again, Garashi even vaguely reminded them, we seem to have been here before. Even Killer Bee couldn't stand it anymore and pulled him. Brother, that's enough. A looked at the two of them bitterly, and finally began to lead them to a normal place. Of course, they had already wasted too much time, so they didn't see many places before they were found by the person sent by Tsudai to summon them back to the banquet. Tsudai is really unreliable. I didn't have time to take the guests to visit a few places. A witching said. Everyone looked at him contemptuously. He really dared to say this. I was unaware of these gazes and looked at the two people who came to find them with a smile. Speaking of which, you two and Special Envoy Garashi took the Chunin exam at the same time, right? Garashi naturally noticed it a long time ago. After all, the conspicuous symbol on Samui's chest was very recognizable. As for the other one who was blinking crazily, was there sand in his eyes? Well, the first opponent I met in the final battle was Special Envoy Garashi. Samui's expression was complicated. It was indeed a memory that she couldn't bear to look back on. In addition to being killed by the other party's genjutsu, the way he stopped her breasts made her breasts ache. That battle was really dangerous. If I had been a little slower in forming the hand seals, I would have been the one who lost. Shushi said, pretending to be serious. Samui's mouth twitched. If she didn't know how he beat the Yuki, she might have believed it. Since it's such a rare battle, do you want to relive it? A asked. Samui looked at the respected Reikich-sama in shock. Did she accidentally offend Reikich-sama? The other party is a fierce person who can even kill the Mizukich. She is just a Chunin. Fighting with him will kill her. I continued. Of course, with your current strength Garashi, fighting with Samui is a bit bullying. So do you want to consider? Without waiting for him to finish, Shushi calmly refused. Oh, then I won't consider it. Seeing Garashi directly refuse A's proposal, Yunin and the others were relieved. Sabina, on the other hand, was frustrated. She had never fought with Shushi before, so she could not get a word in edgewise. Then she was completely ignored. Reikage-sama, shall we go now? Well, although that guy is unreliable, it's not good to let him wait for too long. Everyone followed behind the two of them. Sabina gritted her teeth and said, "Hey, huge harmonious breasts are really amazing." Banquet hall. The architectural style of each village is different. Wood leaf is fresh and elegant. Sand crypsis is simple and solemn. Yunnan is luxurious and wild, the feeling of a nouveau riche. After exchanging a few pleasantries, I let go of his hands and feet. As he gobbled down the food, he strongly recommended it to Shushi. "Let me tell you, this wagyu is a specialty of our country of lightning. You must try it." On the grill, the steak was golden in color and sizzling. Drops of hot oil slid down the lines of the meat. It was really appetizing. Garashi picked up a piece of beef and tasted it carefully. "This is indeed the best beef I have ever eaten." "Haha, isn't it?" I laughed loudly. "Come, try our country of lightning's wine." Garashi looked a little embarrassed. "I'm sorry. Ninja's 3 prohibitions state that you can't drink until you are 20 years old." A's eyes suddenly lit up. "Hey, why do you care about prohibitions at the banquet? Come, let's drink." "This," A said excitedly. "Aha. If you don't drink, you don't give me face. If you don't give me face, be careful, I will." Boom. Before his voice fell, it was sent flying by an octopus leg. "Don't mind Big Brother, he drank too much." Yunnan and the others secretly praised in their hearts, better than Sama. In the outside world, A, who was planted upside down on the ground, was angry. As the Kage of the village, what's wrong with wanting to know first-hand information about Woodleaf's powerful combat power? Besides, the war has just ended. Is it possible that the other party dares to kill him at this time? It's better to say that now is the best time to understand the other party's true strength. Why can't these bastards understand his painstaking efforts? Thinking of this, A pulled himself out from the ground and turned into a bolt of lightning as he rushed in. "Bye, you bastard, you've really grown up. You actually dare to make a move on Big Brother. Don't be impulsive, don't be agitated. Although I know Big Brother is in pain. Speak human language, Meng Hot Blade. If Big Brother wants to test my current strength, then I'll use Meng Hot Blade as well." Seeing that the two of them were about to use their ultimate move, the surrounding people panicked. How did a good banquet suddenly become like this? One must know that the two of them are the absolute core of Yunnan. If anything happens to them, Yunnan's losses will be too great. Shushi, on the other hand, was watching the show with great interest. It was rare to see such an exciting scene. Tutai hurriedly ran over. "Envoy Garashi, can you please stop the two of them?" Shushi blinked. "Isn't that a little inappropriate?" Tutai hurriedly said. "Only Garashi-sama can help us." "Really? I'm not here to solve a family dispute." Having said that, Garashi sighed and stood up, looking at the field with a dignified look. His strength is indeed stronger than either of these two, but it's almost impossible to seal one of them in an instant, let alone suppress both of them at the same time. But the actual battle is not like this. The two of them are not working together. They are concentrating on the battle. He just needs to seize the opportunity to sneak attack. In the blink of an eye, Reikage and Killer Bee have finished accumulating power and rushed toward each other at a speed beyond the limit of the human body. At this moment, a chakra wave spread out. Caught off guard, the two of them instantly fell into an illusion. Driven by inertia, they rushed forward without slowing down. Just when the two of them were about to collide, Garashi teleported between them, raised his hands, and released a biting cold from his palms. The next moment, 2 ice sculptures appeared in the banquet hall. Chapter 284. Seeing that Garashi sealed Reikage and Hachibi's Jinchuriki in an instant, everyone present couldn't believe their eyes. They know that Garashi is very strong, but isn't it a bit too much to be this strong? After all, whether it's Reikage or Killer Bee, both of them are at the top of the ninja world. How did this guy train? With his current strength, he should be the strongest in the ninja world, right? Amazing, worthy of Garashi-sama. Sabina excitedly pulled Samui and said. Even Reikage and Killer Bee were suppressed by him in an instant. Is this your strength that shook the ninja world? After the shock, Samui's face suddenly became serious. Idiot, is this the time to be infatuated? What's wrong? Sabina was puzzled. Raikage and Killer Bee were suppressed by him, which means that if he has any malicious intent, no one here can resist, Samui said in a deep voice. Well, it seems so. Sabina was dumbfounded. Not only her, but everyone present also gradually reacted. The current Yunin is completely defenseless in the eyes of Raikage. Thinking of this, everyone looked at Garashi nervously. Is Yunin going to come to an end today? Garashi asked with an innocent look. Why are you looking at me like this? If you think I'm meddling in other people's business, then don't blame me. It's your assistant, Tsutai, who asked me to do this. Everyone cast a shocked look at Tsutai. They didn't expect him to betray Yunin. Tsutai wanted to cry. I asked you to stop them. I didn't ask you to seal them. Well, can you release Raikage-sama first? I didn't seal them. Speaking of which, this degree of ice should kacha. The sound of ice cracking was heard. The two broke the ice and jumped out while trembling. Bastard! How dare you sneak attack me? I roared angrily. Oh, it was Tsutai's assistant who asked me to do it. Garashi continued to shift the blame. Tsutai, this is a misunderstanding. Tsutai said weakly. Be more careful next time. Don't always make me clean up after you. AI sighed in exasperation. Yes, I'll definitely bet next time. As he spoke, Tsutai realized that something was amiss. Wait, this is obviously Raikage's fault. He is cleaning up the mess for Raikage. AI didn't care about Tsutai's reaction. After slightly diverting his embarrassment, he began to ponder. This guy is really strong. But if I hadn't been careless, it wouldn't have been that easy for him to defeat me. Compared to him, my resistance to illusions is a little weaker. Moreover, I have too few methods to deal with him. All in all, I'm still not comprehensive enough. I have to do everything I can to increase my strength. As long as Inikage could sense the pressure brought by the other party, it was impossible for them to stop moving forward. In any case, the other party's strength is too strong. What's even more terrifying is that this strength doesn't seem to be the limit of his growth. If Wood Leaf is willing, with Shimizu Garashi's future, it is entirely possible to subvert the ninja village by himself. He must have the strength to resist before Wood Leaf has such a dangerous idea. At least, he must have the strength to protect himself. Although Wood Leaf advocates peace most of the time, it's stupid to place your own safety on the enemy's kindness. It's precisely because of this that he didn't care about his face to test the strength of the other party. Yes, it's definitely not because he's itchy. In Killer Bee's consciousness space, Hachibi also warned. As long as this Shimizu Garashi doesn't disappear, Yu Yinin had better behave in the future. We have always been very obedient. You know whether you are obedient or not. Killer Bee smiled awkwardly and changed the topic. But even Hachibi, you are afraid of him? Hachibi didn't comment and coldly snorted. I do remember some unpleasant memories from this kid. What unpleasant memories? Oh, it's the memories of being caught by a big idiot called Hashirama. The first Naruto? Killer Bee was shocked. I didn't expect you to have such a high evaluation of him. Humph. If it weren't for the fact that I can't find a comparison, I don't want to mention that idiot's name. Forest Bijou. Anything related to that name is the worst evaluation. No way. I think everyone's evaluation of the first Naruto is quite high. That's you humans. Hachibi was furious. That bastard said that we are too dangerous, so he captured us and sealed us. But he is much more dangerous than us. Why didn't he seal himself? Killer Bee smiled. Haha, it's quite excessive. After the banquet ended, it led Garashi and the others to the place where the Yuki lived. Without waiting for Garashi to observe, he hurriedly asked, How is it? Is there any problem? Garashi pondered for a moment. Although it's a little troublesome, it's not a big problem in general. It's just that it took more time than usual to bypass your seal. Oh, that's good. I nodded with relief, then looked at Garashi and wondered, Why are you looking at me like that? Garashi calmly pointed to the door. Please go out. A wave to the others. You guys go out first. Garashi added. And you, pointed to himself in disbelief. I have to go out too? Garashi nodded and said, "On the one hand, the room has to be quiet. And on the other hand, it's not good for you to see the jutsu." "Are you kidding me? Do you think I'm the kind of person who can remember the jutsu after seeing it once?" I let out a roar, then looked at Garashi suspiciously. "Wait, you're not going to do something strange to the Yuki, are you?" Garashi's mouth twitched. "It only takes a few minutes to break the seal." I was still sizing up the suspect. "You're the fastest ninja in the world, faster than me. It's normal for you to be faster." Garashi looked at him, as if he was an idiot. "The fastest ninja in the world is doing this. If you don't believe me, then there's no need for me to continue." "Well, I'll go out." Since Garashi said so, it could only compromise. But before he went out, he didn't forget to warn him. "Don't do anything strange." After everyone had left, Shushi set up a small enchantment that isolated perception. Then, he looked at Yujito no Run, who was lying quietly on the bed. "By the way, stealing some chakra shouldn't be a strange thing, right?" Chapter 285. In order to steal second last chakra, he had to hide it from second last. However, considering that there were precedents, it wasn't difficult at all. The former Hachibi's Jinchuriki was paralyzed by Orochimaru's illusion pills, after which it went berserk. Even the Hachibi couldn't recall what happened back then. Garashi naturally followed suit and stole second last Jinchuriki without her knowing. After doing all that, Garashi put away the scroll nonchalantly and began to remove the seal on Yuki. Generally speaking, it wouldn't take too long to remove the seal. However, in order to have enough time to steal chakra, he deliberately said that the seal had become much more troublesome because of their influence. Hence, even though he spent a little more time stealing second last chakra, he still had plenty of time. Under Garashi's full effort, the seal that was about to become a chronic illness in Yuki's body quickly dissipated. Then with a meow sound, Yujito gradually woke up. "Oh, where am I?" Yuki suddenly saw Garashi's face while in a daze. She instinctively panicked and asked, "Shimizu Garashi, what are you doing here? Have I been captured by you guys?" Although the war had already ended before she fainted, the memories of the war still occupied most of her mind, and she subconsciously thought that she had been captured. "Don't worry. Wait a minute. I heard that the enemy will do terrible things to the captives." Yuki looked down in horror and continued, "I'm on the bed now. Are you planning to be a beast?" "Don't misunderstand. Atrocious. Even if I'm not your match, I definitely won't give in easily." Garashi had a peculiar expression on his face. "Won't give in easily? Does that mean you'll still give in? Wouldn't that be more misleading? Nikomata, lend me your power." However, there was no movement in his body at all. Yuki called out twice more before Nikomata's soft voice came through. "Don't disturb me. I'm so tired. I feel like I've been squeezed dry. I need to sleep." Seeing that Nikomata had no reaction, Yuki looked at Garashi in horror. "You won't even let Nikomata off." "In a sense, you're right," Garashi complained in his heart. He chopped her head with his hand and explained calmly, "In order to break your seal, I slightly limited its power. Also, you don't even recognize the layout of your own room? What? Have you already conquered Yunin?" Garashi sighed helplessly. He had heard that the more aloof a person was, the easier it was for them to be confused when they weren't conscious enough. That's how this guy is, right? Garashi simply removed the barrier and opened the door to let the people outside in. AI walked in quickly and said with relief, "Yuki, you're finally awake." Yuki was once again frightened. "Reikage-sama, you've also become his slave?" "Slave?" AI's eyes widened, and then looked at Garashi in shock and anger. "Did you really do something strange?" It took a little bit of effort for Garashi to clear up the misunderstanding. It was also at this time that he finally understood the hardships of being an assistant. In Yunin, it's really hard to be a normal person. At night, in the underground fortress of Yunin, "Yoshihiro, I need you to restart the chakra cannon project," AI said in a deep voice. "I remember that the Sandaime said that with the controllable Bijidama, there's no need to continue to waste manpower and material resources on this research, right?" Yoshihiro said while pushing up his glasses. "That was before. AI said in a deep voice. Now the situation is different. In order to deal with the threat of Shimizu Garashi, we must increase our bargaining chips as much as possible. Reikage-sama, forgive me for being blunt. Yoshihiro shook his head. Even if the research and development is successful, the chakra cannon won't be a threat to that kind of strong person. I'm not threatening him, I'm threatening Woodleaf. At the very least, we must have the power to make Woodleaf afraid. What do you mean? I remember that the research and development program mentioned that the ideal chakra cannon is equipped with 2 attack modes, the diffusion chakra cannon and the space-time chakra cannon, right? Yoshihiro's eyes flashed with a hint of surprise. I didn't expect Reikage-sama to remember it so clearly. Do you really think I'm an impulsive fool? That's just a mask for a Kaguya, AI said mysteriously. Yoshihiro's mouth slightly twitched. Why did he feel that the Reikage-sama was the one who was wearing a mask? The diffusion chakra cannon can disperse the attack into thousands of parts at the same time. If it's used to attack Woodleaf, no matter how powerful the defensive ninjutsu or space-time transfer ninjutsu is, it won't be able to do anything to it. AI continued. There's also the space-time chakra cannon. Can this kind of attack be transferred by space-time ninjutsu? In theory, it can't be transferred. Yoshihiro analyzed. The expected space-time chakra cannon has the space-time attribute. It should be able to offset the effect of space-time ninjutsu. Even if it doesn't work, we can also use the collision of the 2 space-time attacks to destroy the enemy. This is good. AI nodded with satisfaction. You should hurry up with the research and development. The future of Yunin depends on you. I'll try my best. Yoshihiro took a deep breath and said. You can't try your best, but you must do it. AI emphasized. Yoshihiro's eyes were full of helplessness. Scientific research isn't something that can be done just because you want to. Then I'll develop the diffusion chakra cannon first. Anyway, as long as one of these 2 models is successfully developed, it can pose a threat to Woodleaf, right? Although AI himself was more optimistic about the space-time chakra cannon, he also knew that space-time is the most difficult to develop, so he nodded and agreed. Then I'll have to trouble you. The events of the next few days can be summarized like this. The Light of Woodleaf, the Shinobi Demigod, Naruto, and Shimizu Garashi were invited to visit Yunin. They were warmly received by the leader of Yunin, Reikage, and many other Yunin jonin. The 2 sides reviewed the past and looked forward to the future. In a warm and friendly atmosphere, they reached an important consensus on the goal of re-establishing diplomatic relations between the 2 villages. During the visit, Reikage led Envoy Garashi to visit the Yunin ninja training place. Envoy Garashi expressed his gratification and hoped that the younger generation of Yunin ninjas could inherit the spirit of the older generation, have the courage to temper themselves, have the courage to climb, and become a good youth who can shoulder the future of Yunin. In the end, the meeting came to an end in a harmonious and friendly atmosphere. Yunin highly praised the prominent role of Envoy Garashi in this exchange, and emphasized that peace is the theme of the future of the ninja world, and anyone who wants to destroy the hard-won peace will become a sinner in history. Chapter 286. Woodleaf Naruto Building. Garashi, who just came back to report, looked at Minato with an apologetic face and asked, So, I just came back and have to go to San Crypsis again? Sorry, because this is an agreement between the Kazekage and Sandaime-sama. And it's you, Garashi, who was appointed to carry out the exchange. Minato also became more skilled in throwing the blame. So, I have to trouble you again. An agreement between the Kazekage and Sandaime-sama? Garashi asked doubtfully. I heard Sandaime-sama say that this is an agreement they made during the Chunin exam. As one of the conditions for San Crypsis to participate in the war, Garashi will go to the San Crypsis Ninja School for a period of time. I was sold without knowing it. Garashi sighed helplessly. Haha, actually, it's not bad if you think about it carefully. Minato laughed. Just treat it as a public holiday. At least, it's much better than sitting in this office every day. Even if it's a trip, choosing the desert as the target is too. Garashi shook his head and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Forget it, I'll go and prepare in advance. After all, it's a rare opportunity for exchange. I'll take the 3 of them to San Cripsis to exchange. Minato clasped his hands together. Please. Woodleaf Orphanage. Wow. Brother Do and the others are here. Sister Ren brought a lot of delicious food. With the arrival of the 3, there was a burst of cheers in the orphanage. The war has just ended, and it's a time when supplies are scarce. Although Woodleaf has the advantage in this war, there is no winner in the war. Even if they win the war, their situation is only better than the other villages. For the orphanage, the situation is even worse. The money Nanoyu earns alone is really a drop in the bucket. Fortunately, the previous group of ninja orphans can also earn money by completing tasks. But they don't earn much money. The real local tycoons are the 3 of them. Of course, the so-called nouveau riche was only relative to children. After distributing the food, Yunayu called the 3 of them to the side and sighed with relief and pity. It's really been hard on you. However, you don't earn much on your own, so don't subsidize everyone. I'll find a way to deal with the matters of the institute myself. No, we've earned a lot of money. Lotus exaggeratedly spread her arms and described. And we are medical ninjas. We don't need to take risks. And we don't need to buy equipment like Yurusi and the others. We don't even need to spend our money, Miss proudly declared. Really? Nonayu looked at the 3 of them suspiciously. Of course it's. As Lotus spoke, her stomach suddenly growled. Her face turned red and she couldn't continue. Yunayu suddenly said seriously. Haven't the 3 of you eaten? Pocket weakly raised his right hand. The 3 of us went to the cafeteria to scrounge for food. Wu nodded. It's all because Lotus's appetite is too big. Nonayu's eyes turned red. She squatted down and hugged the 3 of them in her arms. Silly children, don't do this in the future. At this moment, a gentle voice mixed with a little helplessness came from behind them. You guys are making me your teacher, ashamed to show my face. Hearing this familiar voice, the 3 of them excitedly turned around and shouted, Garashi-sama! Garashi-sensei! Garashi! Nonayu also smiled, then looked at the woman beside Garashi and asked, This is the special envoy of San Cripsis, Pakura. Garashi said, then bent down and rubbed the heads of the 3 little ones. Next time, if you have a problem, you should directly ask me. Don't do this. Yes, yes. The 3 of them nodded obediently. With that, Garashi stood up straight and said with an apologetic face, Sister Nonayu, I'm sorry. I didn't know the current situation of the orphanage was so difficult. Nonayu shook her head slightly. You are now Naruto's assistant. There are a lot of things to consider. I don't want to bother you with such a trivial matter. How is this a trivial matter? Garashi sighed. How about this? I'll take out 35 million. Is that enough? Where did you get so much? Nonayu said she couldn't help but laugh. With Garashi's current status, it's natural for him to have so much money. I can't take it, it's too much money. On the other hand, Mustache was completely unaffected. Was 35 million taels a lot? In the future, it's just Asma's money. In the underground gold exchange, the Mizuki's head is worth 100 million. If I'm short of money, I can just go and kill a few ninjas. Garashi said calmly, 100 million. The eyes of the 3 little workers seemed to have turned into the shape of stars, looking at Garashi with eyes full of worship. They worked hard in the hospital to earn more than 100,000, but their teacher earned 100 million every minute. Pakura on the side couldn't help but ask, Garashi, did you get the 100 million reward? I heard that the rules of the underground gold exchange is that the corpse must be intact. The Mizuki is a Kage of the village. It's not good to desecrate his body. Garashi shook his head. For the widely spread deeds, as long as you can prove your identity, even if there's no corpse, you can get half of the reward. Pakura added, Oh, is there such a thing? Garashi looked at Pakura with a smile. I didn't expect you to be so knowledgeable about the bounty. Pakura shook her head slightly and looked at Garashi with a dignified look. I studied this because of you, Garashi. Garashi pointed at himself with some surprise. Because of me? Maybe you don't know yet? The highest bounty of the underground gold exchange has been refreshed by you. Pakura said in a deep voice. The bounty is 1 billion. What? 1 billion? The three in Konoha exclaimed. 30 Asuma. Shushi wasn't worried at all. He even had the time to grumble to himself. Seeing Garashi didn't care, Pakura reminded. I know that Garashi is very strong, and in a head-on fight, no one in the entire ninja world can be your opponent. But those hyenas have always been unscrupulous, assassination, poisoning, traps, they can do anything. And it's not like there are no strong people among them. Seeing that Konoha and the other three were worried, Garashi smiled and said, Don't worry, I'm very experienced in assassination. In the early days of the war, if I don't get assassinated for a period of time, I can't sleep well. Seeing Garashi claiming to be an assassination expert, Konoha didn't know whether to laugh or cry. In short, you should pay more attention to yourself. Garashi smiled and nodded. In exchange, Konoha-san, please accept this money. Konoha was silent for a moment, then sighed heavily. Garashi, thank you very much. Don't worry, I'm not interested in money. Now that I think about it, the happiest time I got money was when I worked in the hospital as a child. Garashi recalled and said. The three have never doubted Garashi's words, and after listening to him, the worship in their eyes became even stronger. As expected of Garashi, Sama, I must have this awareness in the future. So working is the happiest time? We must cherish this period of time. Chapter 287. Seeing this warm and harmonious scene, Pakura sighed with emotion. It's so good. Obviously a group of people who have suffered so much can show such a heartfelt smile. Garashi smiled and nodded. Yes. As long as I see the smile on everyone's face, no matter how tired I am, I can wash away all my fatigue. With that said, Garashi looked at the three again. I'm going to the ninja school in San Crypsis for a while. Would you like to come with me? The three couldn't help but show a look of longing in their eyes. Whether it was San Crypsis or the ninja school, they were all very far away from them. We want to follow Garashi-sama. We will go wherever sensei goes. Shushi smiled and said, Then you guys get ready. We'll be leaving soon. Pakura also smiled. I also have a lovely disciple. You can communicate with each other after you go to San Crypsis. San Crypsis village in the conference room. Today we are mainly discussing two issues. Raza said. First, we need to choose a new Ichibi Jinchuriki. Fenbuka-senpai passed away. We must choose a new vessel as soon as possible. As his voice fell, the room instantly became silent, and all the jonin either looked dignified or evasive. According to past experience, unless the Jinchuriki is strong enough to suppress the tailed beast, it is best to choose a child of 0 to 5 years old as the vessel sacrifice. The Jinchuriki and the tailed beast are two of the same body. If a child is used as a vessel, once the tailed beast goes berserk, it can be easily suppressed because of the insufficient power of the sacrifice. But the consequence of this is that the Jinchuriki as the vessel of the tailed beast is likely to collapse because of this. Even without considering the rejection and fear after the selection of the Jinchuriki, this behavior itself represents a very cruel meaning. Therefore, they naturally don't want their children to experience this terrible thing. But the problem is that the Jinchuriki is an important fighting force of the village. If orphans or children of ordinary families are used as Jinchuriki, what if they defect? Relatively speaking, as the important people of the village, they are the first choice. In this strange silence, some of the jonins who have no children or children over the age limit spoke. Why don't we just draw lots to decide? I suggest limiting the scope to newborns within 3 months of birth. I object. Children between the ages of 0 to 5 should be included in the selection. Being older also has its advantages. Perhaps there are already children who have shown the potential to suppress their own emotions. At this time, the part of the jonin with children also began to propose. The growth period of a Jinchuriki trained from a young age is too long. We need combat power that can be formed as soon as possible. Yes, I suggest that we choose some chunin with a strong heart as the experimental subjects. However, the others scoffed at their suggestion. The war has just ended, and it is impossible for a second war to break out in a short time. It is most appropriate to train Jinchuriki from scratch. Oh, if you want to talk about inner strength, why can't it be as jonins? The quarrel between the two sides became more and more intense, and there were even signs of a big fight. Enough, the Jinchuriki will be. Raza snorted coldly. Looking at their behavior, he had an inexplicable impulse to take it on himself, but thinking of Temari and Kankuro, he couldn't bear it. In the end, he could only sigh. Let's talk about the Jinchuriki later. Now let's discuss the second topic. Everyone seemed to sigh in relief, and tacitly agreed. Some of you should have heard that I invited Garashi of Woodleaf to come to our San Crypsis for exchange and guidance, but you may not understand why I am doing this. After avoiding the heavy topic, the voices of the Jonins were much lighter. No, I understand. Regarding this decision, I raise both hands in approval. Senpai, are you sure that raising your hands is not a surrender? Raza's facial muscles twitched slightly. These bastards really have no eyesight. Can't they see that he wants to continue? Fortunately, as a loyal follower of the Kazakage, the new Jonin Maki asked, I still don't quite understand. Why are you doing this, Kazakage-sama? Raza nodded approvingly at him and said, according to my observation, Garashi seems to have the ability to dig out potential or strengthen potential. Let's not talk about those geniuses around him. I'm mainly talking about Mizuki, who is ignored by most people. Mizuki? Some of the Jonins were surprised. The one who is said to have plotted against the third Mizukichi? Raza nodded slightly. As long as you collect information about him, it's not difficult to find that his talent can only be regarded as ordinary. Among his graduates, his grades can only be regarded as above average. But now, not only has he mastered the same powerful ability called Senjutsu as Garashi, but he is also strong enough to make the third Mizukichi stumble on him. Such a big change is absolutely inseparable from Garashi's guidance. Hearing him say this, everyone's face became a lot more solemn. To be able to make an ordinary ninja undergo such a rebirth, it's not an exaggeration to say that Garashi can turn stone into gold. Thinking of this, everyone's mind became active. Kazakage-sama, do you want to use Garashi's hand to dig out a group of children with potential? It should be training. Didn't you see that Mizuki with ordinary talent can compete with the Mizukichi? But Garashi is with Leaf's people after all. Will he really guide them? Raza said solemnly. San Crypsis is a loyal ally of Woodleaf. With Garashi's capacity, I believe that he won't let us down. A group of Jonins looked strange. Did the Kazakage deliberately want them to spread these words? Konoha is concerned about its international image, and it is worried that its allies will be surprised. After hearing this, they might even take the initiative to ask Soishi for serious guidance. Raza seemed to be seen through, and he emphasized, of course, your attitude is also very important. If you don't show our attention, then you can't blame Garashi for not paying attention. Kazakage-sama is so reasonable. In order to show my attention, I decided not to wait for the school to recruit students, and I will send my 5-year-old child to school quickly. Ahem. I suggest that the ninja school temporarily recruit a group of students. My child is 4 years old this year, and she can barely attend the class. The opportunity is rare, and we should relax some requirements. Although my child hasn't been born yet, it's good to listen to prenatal education. Hey, isn't it too much to occupy resources for prenatal education? Listening to the quarrel below, Raza couldn't help but fall into contemplation. My child is almost 3 years old. How about letting her feel the atmosphere of the school in advance? Chapter 288. Wow. Is this the San Crypsis village? When they arrived at the San Crypsis, Ren looked around in surprise. It looks good, Fog carefully said. It's spectacular. Pakura felt helpless in her heart. Most of the guests from other villages would praise the Sand Village for its spectacular and majestic appearance. At first she believed it, but later she learned that it was only because the Sand Village had nothing to do with beautiful and exquisite. Everyone said it in order not to be rude. Garashi secretly looked around. Compared with the last time he came to the San Crypsis, the living standards of these villagers didn't seem to have improved much, but their mental outlook was completely different. Is it because of the victorious country that they are more or less confident? At this moment, A sorrowful cry suddenly came from a temple in the distance. Woo, like the sound of a horn. It lingered in the sky for a long time, giving a sad feeling. Then, the sound became sharp and ear-piercing, like the sharp cry of a wild cat after it's first stood on end. Even people who don't understand raccoon language can hear the anger in the voice. The three of them were startled by this sudden sound. What is this sound? Pakura looked in the direction of the sound with a complicated expression. That's the cry of a chibi. It's sending off a friend and declaring its anger to us. Can a tailed beast have friends? Rin asked in surprise. This is indeed incredible in the eyes of many people. But Senpai Bunpuku of our village did it. Pakura sighed. Senpai Bunpuku has been imprisoned since he was born because of his identity as a Jinchuriki. He almost never left the temple, and most people even forgot his real name. Too much, Fog said subconsciously, and then quickly apologized. I'm sorry, I accidentally said. Seeing Fog's helpless look, Pakura smiled. You accidentally said what's in your heart, right? But don't worry, because I also think it's too much. With that, Pakura sighed again. Senpai Bunpuku is really amazing. In this case, he didn't have resentment in his heart, but instead built a bridge with his heart. When he was alive, Ichibi didn't even go berserk once. Kabura was shocked. Amazing, Senpai Bunpuku's heart is too strong. It's really amazing. Rin nodded vigorously, but suddenly her body stiffened. When he was alive. After all, Senpai Bunpuku is too old. Oh, the old grandpa is so pitiful, Kabura asked in confusion. Why is Ichibi angry? Ichibi thinks that we killed Senpai Bunpuku. And in fact, it's not wrong, because Senpai Bunpuku did die in our hands. Pakura sighed and said continued. Garashi, you should know what it means for a Jinchuriki to die. Garashi said. It means Senpai Bunpuku, the Jinchuriki, without a Jinchuriki, the Jinchuriki without his Senpai Jinchuriki, and Jinchuriki who lost Jinchuriki's Jinchuriki-s. With the Jinchuriki, SSS without his. Pakura's words had a great impact on Kabura and the other two. A person who dedicated his life to the village ended up like this. Shushi asked, but is it really okay to do this now? The Ichibi can break the seal at any time, right? In fact, the Ichibi has already gone berserk twice, but it was suppressed by the Kazekage again. Pakura said in an uncertain tone. Its voice now sounds much more stable than before, so it shouldn't go berserk again, right? That's the case, then I'm relieved. Garashi squinted his eyes and looked at the temple, chuckling softly. In the evening at the welcome banquet, after carefully collecting information about Mizuki, a group of jonins found that things were more exaggerated than what the Kazekage said. A person whose body was destroyed and almost lost the qualification to become a ninja, at the age of 14, grew to the point of being strong among jonins. The gap between them was really hard to imagine. Because of this, they were even more enthusiastic about Garashi's arrival. Haha, Garashi Jonin, don't be polite. Just treat this place as your own home. Yes, don't be shy. In less than 2 years, Garashi Jonin defeated the Tsuchikage, and the Mizukage one after another. It's really awe-inspiring. With Garashi Jonin, it seems that there will be no war in the ninja world for the next few decades. Seeing that their sensei could become the focus of the crowd even in the San Crypsis, the three little ones behind Garashi all puffed up their small chests with pride, looking at Garashi with eyes full of worship. Raza looked at this scene speechlessly. These idiots don't even have a little bit of modesty as a San Crypsis ninja? At first, he was worried that because of the end of the war, some of them would lose their due respect for Garashi and hinder his exchange plan. So he deliberately emphasized the importance of Garashi. But now it seems that it was completely overkill, right? Just as he was cursing in his heart, Shushi walked over with a cup in his hand. Kazekage-sama, I'm sorry, because of the 3 forbidden ninja, I can't drink for the time being, so I'll use tea instead. Raza's eyes were strange. Compared to the 3 forbidden ninjas' money, wine and women, the 3 forbidden ninjas with leaves are more terrible, right? Although he was thinking about the impoliteness in his heart, Raza still smiled and raised his glass to respond. Garashi Jonin, don't worry about it, it's good enough. Garashi didn't leave after the toast, but said in a sincere voice, "Speaking of which, among the 5 Kages, I admire Kazekage-sama the most." Raza was slightly startled. "Ah, what? At the beginning of the war, I don't think anyone in the village was optimistic about the sand crypsis. The former Kage disappeared. People's hearts were unstable, and Kazekage-sama was too young, so it was difficult to convince everyone." Garashi said with emotion, "But in such a critical situation, Kazekage-sama, you took over the position of Kazekage, tried to stabilize the situation in the village in the early stages of the war, and then cooperated with our wood leaf to boldly attack and defeat Rock Crypsis and win the war. If I were in your position, I would never be able to do as well as you." Raza's face turned red. "Haha, Garashi Jonin, you flatter me, come on, let's drink." Of course, he didn't care about the praise of ordinary people, but when it came from Garashi's mouth, and it was the thing he was most proud of, the meaning was completely different. For a while he had a kind of joy. Garashi continued to use the scumbag's drinking skill. "This is not flattering, in my opinion, Kazekage-sama. You are completely worthy of any praise. With your own strength, you supported the economy of Sand Crypsis, in the face of the provocation of a small country like Hidden Rain. And for the overall situation, you didn't care about the position of the joint commander of the two villages. To be able to win this war, Kazekage-sama, your contribution is absolutely irreplaceable." Raza was sad. In the early stages of the war, he was a young man in his 20s, and he had to play hard with several old foxes. Was it easy for him? Looking at the other Kages in the other villages, who worked like him to subsidize the village. After 4 years as a Kage, he felt like he was 40 years old. Thinking of this, Raza raised his glass with a bitter face. "Oh, Garashi, you understand me. Let's not talk about these disappointing things, come on, let's drink." After a few glasses of wine, he was a little drunk. But Garashi didn't intend to let him go. "Yes, the past is the past. It's better to look at the future. I suggest that with Leaf and Sand Crypsis, continue the exchange at the ninja school, learn from each other, and improve each other." Raza's eyes lit up, and he put his arm around Garashi's shoulder and said, "This is good. The future ninja world should be a win-win ninja world. Come on, let's drink." Seeing the scene of the two, the rest of the Jonin couldn't help but feel sour. "Damn it, Kazekage-sama. Don't you have any restraint as the leader of Sand Crypsis?" Chapter 289. At night, the villagers of Sand Crypsis village had fallen asleep. Suddenly, the calm night sky was filled with wind and sand. Then, the wind and sand suddenly became more rapid. With a sharp and harsh roar, a civet cat covered with curses appeared, entrenched in the sky above the Sand Crypsis temple. Logically speaking, now is a good opportunity to escape. But Shikaka didn't do so. Instead, he chose to vent his anger. "Damn Sand Crypsis, feel my anger." Shikaka's paw slammed down, and the earth instantly cracked, and the terrible cracks spread like a spider web. Such a huge commotion naturally woke everyone up from their dreams. Although they were a little panicked, they were not afraid. This is the 3rd time, and according to experience, this stupid civet cat will soon be sealed by the Kazekage. So they just need to watch the show quietly. The big cat is not obedient again. "Yeah, haven't you tasted the power of the Kazekage's magnet release?" Then 1 second, 2 seconds, 10 seconds passed. The Kazekage, who always arrived first in the previous 2 times, seems to be absent this time. At this time they really panicked. Where is the Kazekage? Could it be that he slept too soundly? How is it possible, with such a big movement, even the pigs should wake up? Is it because of the night activity, and accidentally overworked? What time is it? You still have the mood to talk about dirty jokes. Although gold is quite dirty, what does digging gold have to do with dirty jokes? The ninjas who knew a little bit of the inside story were pale. The Kazekage seems to be, probably like maybe drunk too much? At the same time, in the Kazekage's house, Raza was lying on the bed muttering, "I'm not drunk, I can still fight for 300 rounds. Jabaruo, who had a big belly, gently pushed him, looking a little anxious. "Raza, wake up, wake up." Raza muttered discontentedly, "I'm awake, don't make trouble." Seeing him like this, Jiaberuo asked with a trace of fantasy. Then do you know that the Ichibi went berserk again? Ichibi? Raza frowned in a daze. Such a small character bothers me? It's more likely that the nine-tailed beast would go berserk. Seeing this, Jiaholuo had no choice but to walk to the door and shake his head at the people waiting in front of the door. I'm sorry, Raza won't be waking up anytime soon. Hearing her words, the people waiting at the door became anxious. Damn it, why does it have to be now? Without Kazekage-sama's magnet release, how can we suppress Ichibi? Don't pin everything on the Kazekage-sama. Are we just decorations? Huh? Did you just realize that you're just a decoration? Jiaholuo helplessly watched them quarrel. Suddenly, he felt his trousers being pulled. He looked down and saw Tempura holding Kankuro's hand and hiding behind him. Mom, Kitty is so scary. Jiaberuo lovingly stroked his daughter's head. Don't be afraid. Uncles will catch the bad cat. Really? She sucked on her fingers. Then, her gaze was suddenly attracted by the commotion in the distance. Wow, Bad Kitty has been beaten. Needless to say, Garyuelo and the other jonins also heard the loud noise in the distance. Turning their heads, they saw a figure stepping on Ichibi's head and beating him down. This is... Jiaholuo was still puzzled, but the other jonins had already cheered. Great, it's Garashi-sama. Huh, I was worried that Garashi-sama would sit back and watch. As expected of the conscience of the shinobi world. Garashi-sama? Tempura tilted her head. Is he as powerful as Dad? At this moment above the San Crypsis temple, Garashi stepped on Ichibi's head and looked around apologetically. I'm sorry, I shouldn't intervene in the internal affairs of the San Crypsis, but Kazekage-sama may not be able to come because of me. In order to apologize, let me suppress him, the leader of the jonins said. Garashi-sama, you're too polite. We can't thank you enough for your help. The rest of the jonins also said. It's supposed to be a welcome party, no one wants this to happen. We all saw it, it's Kazekage-sama who wants to drink. It has nothing to do with Garashi-sama. At this time Shikaku, who was stepped on by Garashi, shook his big head, and finally woke up from the state of being beaten and shouted angrily. Damn brat, who the hell are you? San Crypsis shouldn't have someone like you. A group of San Crypsis jonins proudly introduced. The one standing on top of your head is Shimizu Garashi-sama, the demigod of the shinobi world, the enemy of the tailed beasts, and the shadow killer. The enemy of the tailed beasts? Shikaku keenly noticed the details. Nibi, Yanbi, Rokubi, and Hachibi were all defeated by Garashi-sama, and you will soon become part of this list. This brat is so strong. Shikaku's eyes widened. From the looks of these guys, they didn't seem to be lying. Thinking of the blow that just knocked him down, Shikaku panicked. As the best-tailed beast to learn, and as an excellent student who can even make hand seals and use ninjutsu, it knows very well how strong a seemingly weak human can be. However, it still forced itself to say, this brat only defeated those useless even-numbered tailed beasts. I'm different from them. A group of San Crypsis jonins blinked blankly. Is there such a thing as even-numbered tailed beasts and odd-numbered tailed beasts? At this time Garashi said, the damage caused by the battle in the village is too great. I will take it out first. As soon as his voice fell, one person and one beast disappeared from everyone's sight. Seeing this scene, all the jonins were amazed. This is the flying thunder god Jutsu? He can transfer such a big beast outside the village. Amazing, worthy of Garashi-sama. Let's hurry up and follow. What's the hurry? Are you afraid that Garashi-sama will be defeated by the Ichibi? Idiot. I am worried that the Ichibi will be killed by Garashi-sama. What you said seems to be very reasonable. Hurry up, or it will be too late. Outside the city, yellow sand filled the sky. Shikaku shouted with some lack of confidence. This uncle is not an idiot who only knows how to use instinct. I will let you see how powerful this uncle is. Garashi didn't pay attention to it, he just narrowed his eyes and thought. I can't let Shikaku know that I am collecting its chakra, so I have to make it unconscious first? It won't be long before the Sand Village's people catch up. I have to hurry. Shikaku instinctively felt a chill in its heart. Its two big claws began to make hand seals. Wind release, Air bullet. A strong airflow like a beam of light spewed out from Shikaka's pores and shot toward Garashi, who was standing on its head. Chapter 290. Regarding this, Shikaka was very proud. When other tailed beasts encountered this situation, except for Yanbi, who could turn his body into magma, the other tailed beasts could only clumsily pat their heads with their claws. Not to mention the low efficiency, they also looked very stupid. Thinking of this, Shikaka laughed loudly. So this is the advantage of learning. Humph, this uncle is different from those idiots. But some tailed beasts laughed and then cried. When did it want to learn? Its chakra was the least. If it didn't learn how to make hand seals and calculate carefully, its chakra couldn't even be compared to some monster-level humans. Especially when compared to a fox, it was even more miserable. How could a civet cat be inferior to a fox? Old man Six Paths, this damn fox control. Shikaka cried and cried, but it felt something was wrong. No matter how sentimental it was, it couldn't cry in the middle of a fight. Also, after it used the air bullet, why didn't it continue? Was that human kid hit by it or not? Thinking of this, a lightning flashed through its mind. Damn it, it's a Genjutsu. Damn it, when did it happen? Genjutsu dispel. The moment the Genjutsu was dispelled, the pain like a tide came one after another. Shikaku found that in just a few seconds, its body was covered with bruises. The physical pain, coupled with the Genjutsu, made Shikaku more and more manic. Damn kid, I want you to pay. Shikaku was ashamed and angry, but then it froze. The other party was holding a small sun-like ball of energy high up in the air. The terrifying power contained within the ball of energy was enough to frighten even the demon beast. Oh, you struggled out of the Genjutsu? Just in time. Use your heart to feel the second gift I prepared for you. Garashi smiled and threw the Senjutsu, Ultimate Jade Rasengan, in his hand toward Shikaku. The moment the ball of light bloomed, he quickly escaped from the scene of the crime through the flying thunder god Jetsu. F***CK#%. Shikaku only had time to say one word, and then it was swallowed by the terrifying energy storm. The pillar of light illuminated the night sky as if it was daytime. The surging tide of chakra converged into a sandstorm, wreaking havoc in the desert. Witnessing this horrifying scene from afar, the Sand Crypsis members felt their mouths go dry. The battle is really intense. Are you sure the battle is intense? Why do I feel that Shikaku is the one being beaten? No matter what, Shikaku is a tailed beast. It shouldn't be that bad, right? I hope Shikaku's vitality is tenacious. Otherwise it will be really troublesome. By the time they arrived, Shikaku was already lying on the sand, with its tail broken. Garashi pretended to replenish Shikaku's chakra. Sorry, I accidentally used too much force, Garashi said apologetically. In order to collect the chakra in the shortest time possible, he went all out and didn't hold anything back during the whole process. Even in the battle when he killed the Mizukichi, he didn't care so much. Everyone swallowed their saliva with difficulty, looking at Garashi like a demon. They knew that Shushi was very strong, but the fact that he was able to severely injure a chibi to the brink of death in just a few minutes was not something that could be explained by his strength alone. He was ridiculously strong. After the shock, they were somewhat sad and doubtful. Their treasured chibi was so easily defeated. What's the significance of the Jinchuriki as an important fighting force of Sand Crypsis? Instead of risking their lives, it's better to transfer the time to cultivate their Jinchuriki, to hug his thigh. After putting away these messy thoughts, they smiled awkwardly. Haha, Garashi-sama. You don't have to worry. You are also thinking about the safety of Sand Crypsis. Let me ask, Shikaku won't die, right? Seeing them being so cautious, afraid of angering him, Garashi smiled. Don't worry, a tailed beast won't die so easily. Then I am relieved. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Then I will take it back to the temple now and reseal it? Thank you. In the Sand Crypsis village. In just a few minutes, the chaos caused by the tailed beast riot hasn't passed yet. But everyone has been told that a strong person will deal with the tailed beast, plus the disappearance of Shikaku. Their mood has calmed down a lot. At this time, Shikaku's huge body appeared again. That monster is back. Everyone run. Wait, how come its body is upside down? Everyone reacted. The monster should have been defeated, right? Moreover, this appearance of 4 feet in the air is inexplicably cute. What's going on? Compared to these ordinary villagers, the ninjas present were shocked from the bottom of their hearts. Whether it's the weak vitality of Shikaku or the terrible injury, it shows that its injury is very serious. Although Kazekage-sama can also suppress the Ichibi for a short time, it's relying on the sand to slow it down, just like tying a rope to a cat and dragging it back to the cage. Garashi, on the other hand, is equivalent to beating the cat half to death and then throwing it directly back to the cage. The difficulty of these two is self-evident. In the distance, Japeruo stood on the balcony and watched this scene shocked. Is this the strength of the shinobi world's demigod? It's terrible. Temari clapped her hands and cheered. The bad cat has been caught. Japeruo touched his daughter's head. Do you want to be as powerful as that big brother? Hanju asked. If I become stronger, will I be able to make Dad less tired? Japeruo was startled and immediately smiled gently. Of course you can. Temari waved her small hand. Then I also want to become super powerful. The next day early morning. Garashi, I'm sorry. After the in-depth communication last night, Raza removed the slightly unfamiliar honorific. I originally invited you to come over to exchange and learn, but I didn't expect to trouble you to help us seal the Ichibi. It should be me who apologizes. Garashi also looked apologetic. If it weren't for me talking to you yesterday, you wouldn't have drunk so much wine, and no one would gossip. Although Raza saved everyone twice, he is the Kazekage, and this kind of thing is reasonable in their eyes. The third time he didn't appear in time, which made his reputation drop a lot. On the contrary, Garashi, who saved them once as an outsider, won high praise. In one night, another nickname, Friends of San Crypsis, was added. No, it's all because my will is not strong enough. It's certain that he was depressed, but Raza didn't think much about it. After all, Garashi didn't say a word to persuade him to drink last night. But he was the one who kept talking. Let's not talk about these disappointing things. Let's go. I'll take you to our San Crypsis ninja school to have a look. Chapter 291. San Crypsis Ninja School. Ding-ling-ling. After class, the children gathered together in groups of 3 to 5, excitedly discussing what happened last night. Did you all see it? Last night, that super scary big tanuki cat appeared again. What's so surprising? It's not the first time. It's not the same. Last night, the big tanuki cat was beaten until it cried. Huh? Did it cry? Really, I can guarantee it. Did you see it? Although I didn't see it, my neighbor's aunt's friend's son was there at the time, and he said so. In this fierce discussion, someone suddenly said, I heard that it was Woodleaf's ninja who beat the big tanuki cat last night. But Kazekage-sama didn't beat it twice before. Does this mean that Woodleaf's ninja is more powerful than Kazekage-sama? As the voice fell, the surroundings suddenly became quiet for a moment. After a while, someone said with a positive tone, Impossible. Kazekage-sama is the strongest ninja in the ninja world. Kazekage-sama must be protecting the small animal, so he didn't beat it until it cried. It must be so. No matter how bad the big tanuki cat is, it's the property of San Crypsis. Kazekage-sama must be worried about breaking it, so he didn't beat it too hard. However, there were different voices in these arguments. But why did I hear that Garashi-sama is the strongest ninja in the ninja world? I seem to have heard that. The adults in my family also said that he was the one who ended the war. I heard that he was the joint commander of San Crypsis and Woodleaf during the war. Even Kazekage-sama had to listen to his command. Amazing. So Garashi-sama is such a powerful person. At this moment, a cold voice came from behind them. What's the strongest in the ninja world? If Woodleaf really has such strength, he wouldn't pretend to be pitiful and beg San Crypsis to join the war. Everyone turned around and saw a few senior boys standing at the door with disdainful looks on their faces. That's right. How can you believe such lies? Remember, San Crypsis is the strongest. What Shimizu Garashi, he's just a lucky guy. If it weren't for Kazekage-sama suppressing Ichibi twice, How could he win against that monster? Kazekage-sama didn't ask for the position of commander because he was modest. How could he be as thick-skinned as him? The group of junior students lowered their heads, not daring to speak. Seeing this, the seniors nodded in satisfaction and asked, "Oh right, where are the exchange students from Woodleaf?" No one replied, but their subconscious gaze towards the corner of the wall had already explained everything. In the corner, two angry little girls and a calm-looking little boy were sitting there. "That's them?" The senior boy in the lead snorted and walked to the corner. "Bastard, bastard, bastard, how dare they speak ill of teacher?" In the corner, Lotus grinds her canine teeth and says, "I will definitely not forgive them. I'm going to break all their teeth." Fog also said angrily, "Don't be impulsive, let me do it." Kabuto's voice is calm, but it gives people a chill. The two girls looked at each other and were worried about each other. "You're not going to kill them, are you?" "Although I don't dislike killing people, it will disturb the teacher." Kabuto tilted his head, with an innocent look on his face. "What are you talking about? I'm just a child. How can I do such a terrible thing?" At this time, the senior boys came over and looked up at them with their nostrils. "You are the exchange students from Woodleaf?" Yes, that's us." Kabuto stood up in fear and said, "However, you may have misunderstood. We are orphans adopted by Woodleaf on the battlefield. In fact, we are not Woodleaf's people." Not Woodleaf's. The boys were stunned. This was not what they had planned. While they were distracted, Kabuto quickly said, "Orphans like us outside the village are not eligible to enter Woodleaf School. So we are very grateful to San Crips's school for letting us study. Compared with Woodleaf, San Crips's school is really much bigger." Seeing Kabuto's grateful look, the boys were a little embarrassed. "Ha ha ha, so that's how it is. I was wondering why you look so pleasing to the eye." Seeing this, Kabuto looked at them with innocent eyes and asked, "Senpai, you must be the excellent ninjas of San Crips's school, right?" Several people nodded proudly. "Of course, we are super brave. Then Senpai must be very powerful, right?" "Of course. Well, why do you ask this?" "In fact, orphans like us who have experienced war have a sense of crisis. If possible, I also want to become a powerful ninja." Kabuto said, "But Garashi-sama will only teach us some medical ninjutsu in his free time. He also said that the strength of a medical ninja is not worse than other ninjas." Several people sneered at this. What kind of combat power can a medical ninja have? He deliberately doesn't teach you other ninjutsu in order to control you. Kabuto bit his lower lip and said pitifully, "I am very grateful that Garashi-sama can teach us ninjutsu, but I also want to become stronger, not to become a medical ninja who can only rely on others. So can I ask Senpai to fight with me once? Please trample on me, and then prove that Garashi-sama is wrong." "Haha, of course, this is not a problem." One of them subconsciously prepared to agree, but before he finished speaking, he was pulled back by the others. "Why are you stopping me? This is a good opportunity to prove the strength of San Cripsis. I always feel a little strange. Isn't it too much of a coincidence? You are worried that he is lying to us, right? You look at him with such innocent eyes. Besides, aren't we here to fight with them? It seems that we are here to cause trouble, and now at least we are in the right." After the whispered discussion, they turned their heads back. "Well, we answer." But before they finished speaking, one of them suddenly reacted. "Wait, you already know medical ninjutsu?" Kabuto blinked. "Yes, what's the problem?" Several big boys were a little embarrassed. The lowest medical ninjutsu is D-class ninjutsu. And among them, there are even some who don't even know E-class ninjutsu. However, looking at Kabuto's pure and clean eyes, they felt that they were thinking too much. What's the use of low-level medical ninjutsu? Besides, the other party is willing to tell this information. Isn't it a sign of trust? Let me confirm, you only know medical ninjutsu, right? You don't know other ninjutsu, right? Kabuto's eyes were pure. Really? I only know a few of the simplest medical ninjutsu. This time, several senior students were finally relieved. Go to the field, and let the senpai train you well. Chapter 292. Compared with Woodleaf's ninja school, Sand Crypsis's ninja school has fewer ancillary facilities. According to the school, this is to let the students develop a good style of hard work and simplicity. It's definitely not because of poverty. In short, the students of Sand Crypsis have less entertainment than Woodleaf. Because of this, when several senior students spread the word that the exchange student from Konoha had requested for an instructional battle, the students who had nothing to do all ran out and prepared to watch the battle with great interest. Huang Shi and the others are really getting worse and worse, bullying people who are younger than them. Even if they win, there's nothing to brag about. I heard that Woodleaf's people took the initiative to ask for a coaching battle. That's why I said they are stupid. If they win, it's natural, but if they lose, they will lose the face of Sand Crypsis. It's impossible to lose, right? That Woodleaf kid didn't even go to school. And he's the medical ninja with the worst fighting ability. That's true. There's nothing to be afraid of with a medical ninja. At this time, Huang Shi and the others also realized their mistake. Such a coaching battle doesn't seem to be meaningful. Thinking of this, they quickly pushed out a representative. Morishita is the weakest among us. Let him fight with you. It's not bullying. Kabuto scratched his head shyly. I'm okay. I'm very weak. I'm sure no one can beat me. Seeing Kabuto's modest and shy appearance, Morishita was a little embarrassed. You can rest assured, I will end the battle as soon as possible. Kabuto nodded vigorously. Thank you, senpai. You have to be careful too. What's there to be careful about medical ninja? Morishita secretly laughed in his heart and replied perfunctorily, I will. The two sides faced each other. I'm going clone jutsu. Morishita skillfully made a few hand seals, divided into 3 without a physical body, and attacked Kabuto from 4 directions. What a skilled clone jutsu. Even the weakest among the seniors has this kind of strength. This is Sand Crypsis. Huang Shi and the others excitedly boasted. And then they saw Kabuto break through the clones and raised his small fist to meet them. After their fists collided, the two of them returned to their original positions. After a moment of silence, Huang Shi and the others found another angle to brag about. Good, as expected of Morishita. Even if my attack is seen through, I'll be able to react immediately. But at this moment, they saw Morishita's right hand twitching uncontrollably, as if he was having a seizure. Morishita glared at Kabuto. You did it. Bai had an innocent look on his face. Didn't I tell Senior to be careful? Moria was filled with grief and indignation. But this is not a medical ninjutsu at all. No, this is indeed a medical ninjutsu. A ninja school teacher walked out of the crowd and glared fiercely at Morishita before explaining in an orderly manner. By turning the chakra in the body into electrons, and then generating an electric field, and releasing electrons to the nervous system in the enemy's body to disrupt the enemy's control of the body, this is a very advanced application of medical ninjutsu. However, I didn't expect that such a high-level medical ninjutsu would appear in the hands of a child, Bai politely explained. In fact, this is a low-level version of Garashi, Sensei's flickering body technique, which can only be used on a certain part of the enemy's body. The teacher suddenly said, It turned out to be Garashi, Sama's development. Then it's not surprising. Huang Shi was already angry about this result, and now seeing that the teacher was siding with Woodleaf, the dissatisfaction in his heart reached the extreme. Damn it, the previous one doesn't count. This time I will fight with you. The school teacher frowned. Haven't you made enough trouble? But he lied to us. Bai blinked and secretly said, Sorry, I didn't know that Senpai's strength was so weak. Maybe he didn't explain it clearly before. When the school teacher heard this, he was even more dissatisfied. You think he didn't reveal enough information? Idiot. Will the enemy tell you their own information when you go to the battlefield? Huang Shi was speechless, indeed. Blaming the enemy for not telling you enough information is a stupid thing to do. But he was still not convinced. This kind of ability, as long as they were careful, they could avoid it. But they were deceived by the other party's despicable means, and they didn't think about it at all. If they had to do it again, they would never lose. Seeing this, Bai sighed like an adult. Teacher, let me fight with Senpai again. The school teacher was surprised. Are you sure? Huang Shi is one of the strongest people in the school. Bai smiled happily. It doesn't matter if we win or lose, as long as we can solve the misunderstanding. The school teacher sighed and looked at Huang Shi with a reproachful look. He scolded, "Look at others, and then look at your tolerance." Seeing this scene, Huang Shi was puzzled. Did he misunderstand the other party? Did he not deliberately deceive them, but really think they are strong? Huang Shi shook his head and put these distracting thoughts behind him. No matter what, I must defeat him today. Thinking of this, Huang Shi strode forward. Come on, let me see your medical ninjutsu. Bai nodded seriously again. Senpai, you have to be careful. I am not an idiot. How can I fall in the same place twice? As long as I am careful and don't let him touch my body, I will be fine. Huang Shi thought in his heart, and then said indifferently, Come on, I will let you see the real strength of the Sand Crypsis's younger generation. The two sides faced each other. This time, Bai didn't wait for the other party to attack, but chose to take the initiative. Huang Shi calmly printed the seal, and the next moment, a hemispherical rock barrier covered him. The battle is over from now on, with your medical ninjutsu. You can't even touch me. Boom! As soon as his voice fell, the rock barrier was broken by Bai's punch, and Huang Shi, who was calm, was blasted out together with the gravel and dust. The onlookers looked at this scene in shock. It was hard to imagine that such a weak body could contain such a powerful force. Bah! Huang Shi spat out the dust in his mouth, and then looked at Bai in shock and anger. You lied to me again. Didn't you say you only know medical ninjutsu? Bai said innocently. Yes. Seeing Bai shamelessly admit it, Huang Shi almost choked. You call this medical ninjutsu? Of course. Bai said confidently. Medical ninjutsu is a ninjutsu for treating injuries. I protect myself from injury. Isn't that the highest level of medical ninjutsu for treating injuries from the root? Huang Shi was at a loss. Can it be like this? Isn't that medical ninjutsu? Chapter 293. After the shock, Huang Shi tried to calm himself down. It's just a guy who only knows how to use brute force. There is no need to be afraid. Seeing Kabuto running towards him, Huang Shi quickly retreated, trying to get away from him. But Kabuto followed him closely, so that he couldn't even find time to make hand seals. Damn, this bastard is too close. Huang Shi cursed in his heart. He hasn't mastered the ability to move while making hand seals. But if he stopped, he wasn't sure if he could complete the hand seals before Kabuto caught up. No, I can only fight. Huang Shi jumped hard. After trying to get away from Kabuto, he quickly turned around and threw out a few shurikens, and then began to make hand seals as fast as he could. For Huang Shi's shuriken throwing technique, Kabuto easily avoided it, and then rushed towards Huang Shi with light steps. Looking at Kabuto getting closer to himself, Huang Shi's heart beat faster, and his forehead was full of sweat. Faster, faster. Under the pressure of Kabuto, his hand seal's speed increased to the limit, and he almost made the wrong hand seals several times. But finally, he successfully completed the ninjutsu. Wind release, great breakthrough. Finally stabilized. Looking at Kabuto, who was less than 2 meters away from himself, Huang Shi's legs were weak. However, it's not the time to relax. While he avoids the attack, I have to prepare a ninjutsu in advance. Wait, does this guy want to die? In front of Huang Shi's incredulous eyes, Doubai did not even try to dodge the wind blade. Doubai's blood-stained fist landed on Huang Shi's face and sent him flying. This guy looks soft and weak, but he's actually so ferocious. Several senior students who followed Huang Shi were a little panicked. The development of the plot was a little different from what they imagined. As expected of someone who came back from the battlefield, the ninja school teacher sighed secretly. Huang Shi's timing, combat experience, and mentality are too much worse than Kabuto. He really learned my previous fighting style. Will he become Kabuto in the future? Garashi thought with interest, but his face was apologetic. Sorry, I didn't expect it to be so big. Haha, don't mind it. Raza had already expected such a thing to happen, so he did not care. He just looked at Garashi with hungry eyes. Did you really only teach this little guy for a year? A few months at most, a year. He has grown to this extent in just over a year. Raza was shocked. He also knew that with how busy Garashi was, it was impossible for him to spend all his time teaching. In other words, his actual teaching time had to be greatly reduced. Although he already knew about Shuemu's case, Raza could not help but be shocked when Cobble's example was placed in front of him. He even had the crazy idea of kidnapping Garashi and keeping him in the sand crypsis. On the field. Is that all? By sighed in disappointment. Not only is his strength average, but even his temperament is surprisingly weak. Since it's a battle, he should have the awareness to gamble everything. Coo. Huang sure wanted to defend himself, but as soon as he opened his mouth, he made a pigeon-like sound because his facial nerves were in a mess. Oh, Bai nodded in sudden realization. Do we have to continue fighting until one side can no longer get up before it's over? It seems that I underestimated the determination of Senpai. Everyone was at a loss. Are you sure he wants to continue the battle? This bastard wants to kill me. Looking at the indifferent eyes of the other side, Huang Shi's legs trembled, and he could no longer bear the fear in his heart, and stumbled to escape. Coo. Too shameful. Seeing Huang Shi's disgraceful appearance, everyone present was embarrassed. Although they did not agree with Huang Shi's behavior, after provoking him, he did not even have the courage to fight. It was simply a disgrace to the sand crypsis. Kill the heart. Both Ren and Fog nodded with satisfaction. To deal with this kind of people, making them die is even more terrible than real death. Is this senpai really an excellent student of the ninja school? How can he be so weak? Kabuto looked puzzled. I've never been to school, and I don't have any systematic guidance. I've only been taught some medical ninjutsu by Shish-sama for more than a year. I should be very weak. Hearing Bai's words, everyone was shocked. From an orphan to surpass Huang Shi in more than a year. How powerful is Garashi-sama's guidance? Thinking of this, no one cared about the loser Huang Shi anymore. They looked at Garashi with greedy eyes. Those green eyes made Garashi's scalp tingle. They are. Garashi turned to look at Raza, and then saw a pair of green eyes. Garashi couldn't help but be silent. Did he enter the wolf's den? After this episode, everyone was more interested in Garashi's class. As a result, the classroom was packed with people inside and outside the classroom after the class started. Seeing this, Raza waved his hand and said, "Go and empty the auditorium for Garashi's class." Then the crowd rushed to the auditorium. After changing locations, Shushi stood on the podium and began his lecture calmly. For those of you who are still in school, high-level ninjutsu is still far away from you. You will have the guidance of your school's teachers for mid-level and low-level ninjutsu. So let me show you something new. Something new? The students in the auditorium and the teachers who came to watch were a little confused. Learning is learning. Is it possible to do something new? Cultivation is actually a very boring process, because we can't see our own improvement. Day by day, we may feel that we have done nothing. Over time, we lose interest in cultivation and regard it as a boring job. Although chakra is an extraordinary system, the improvement of strength is not obvious. For example, the amount of chakra refined can generally be roughly judged by the number of ninjutsu that can be used. Such an algorithm is naturally difficult to see the results in a short time. The same is true for the mastery of ninjutsu. There is no proficiency to judge your mastery of ninjutsu. Even if you are lucky to use a ninjutsu, it doesn't mean that you have completely mastered this ninjutsu. Everyone nodded, not fully understanding. Wasn't cultivation like this? The ninja world has been like this for thousands of years. Garashi smiled. So, I developed a solidified genjutsu that can turn the results of cultivation into data, dream world. Chapter 294. As soon as he finished speaking, everyone in the auditorium started whispering to each other. Dream world? What's that for? Solidified illusion, what does that mean? I know every word, but I don't understand when they're connected. Garashi clapped his hands and signaled for everyone to quiet down. It might be difficult to understand if I just explain it. Let's experience it for ourselves. An illusion radiated out. Thinking of Garashi's words, everyone fell into it without any resistance. Of course, except for a small number of people, they did not have the ability to resist. When they opened their eyes again, what appeared in front of them was a completely different world. Streams were gurgling, birds were chirping, and cicadas were chirping. It was a completely different scene from the desolate sand crypsis. Where is this? Is this an illusion? It feels like a real world. To be able to pull so many of us into the same illusion, as expected of Sir Garashi. Seeing that everyone was immersed in the illusion, Garashi's character in the illusion said, "This illusion has no other functions for the time being. There is only one attribute system. Everyone can call out the panel to see your attributes." Everyone was in a state of confusion. After hearing Garashi's words, they subconsciously called out the panel. The next moment, an illusory light appeared in front of everyone. At first, everyone was shocked by this illusory light, but soon they began to explore it excitedly. Chakra 5. Does this mean that I can refine chakra? Hehe, you're a trash with a chakra of 5. I'm a powerhouse with 17 chakra. Hiss. Shalon Senpai actually has 365 chakra. It's really terrifying. My chakra is 37, but my mental energy is 37, and my physical energy is 51. Does this mean that I should train my mental energy as much as possible? There's also strength, speed, reflexes. Can these be reflected in numbers? That's amazing. In a sense, this was an online game world that couldn't be any simpler. Apart from the attribute panel, there were no online game elements. Even so, everyone was still having a great time. Garashi continued. In the future, you can log into this world at any time to check the changes in your attributes. If you can't see any changes, you can adjust the decimal points of these attributes until you can see the smallest improvement. Hearing Garashi's words, everyone became excited. This way, we can see the results of our efforts every day. With this, I can cultivate every day until dawn. However, there were still some students who were puzzled. Log in at any time? Could it really be done? Lord Garashi, you can't be by our side all the time, right? Garashi smiled and said, "The reason why I said this is a solidified illusion is because this illusion world exists forever after it is created. As long as you master a few fixed hand seals, you can come in without me casting illusions." The development of this technique was not difficult. The key was how to survive. Without the replenishment of his chakra, the dream world would gradually wither away like a rootless duckweed. On this point, Garashi's main reference was the Pure Land of Bliss. In Garashi's view, the Pure Land of Bliss was a very strange existence. Logically speaking, it was not strange for a soul to stay in the Pure Land for a period of time. But from the way the samsara summoned the souls of the previous kages, even the souls of the first kages of the villages were staying in the Pure Land of Bliss. If the Pure Land of Bliss was born together with the world, it was hard to imagine how bloated the Pure Land of Bliss would have become after countless years. So, he had always guessed that the Pure Land of Bliss was the masterpiece of the samsara. After understanding the mystery of the Grim Reaper, he used the ability of the Grim Reaper's mask to take a look at the Pure Land of Bliss. The result was as he expected. The Pure Land of Bliss was a product of the natural energy. Only the ubiquitous natural energy could allow an alternate dimension of that size to exist. In a sense, the Pure Land of Bliss was an existence similar to the alternate dimensions of the three holy lands. In Garashi's view, the Pure Land of Bliss might have been the inspiration of the samsara from the three holy lands. Because of this, Shushi allowed his dream world to be attached to the existence of natural energy. Only then could the technique be completed. Hearing Garashi's explanation, everyone was overjoyed. Great, I suddenly feel more motivated to practice. By the way, can we sneak into the space to cheat in the future? The teachers and the other jonin were also shocked and thought of many other applications of this ability. Not to mention other things. Just being able to go online in time to ask for help when the enemy ambushed them is of great significance. After thinking for a while, Garashi continued. The dream world still has a lot of room for improvement. I plan to add a ranking list in the next version, including the world ranking list and everyone's friend ranking list. The next version will add a battle system, so that everyone can improve their combat ability as much as possible while ensuring their safety. In the next version, I plan to let the dream world realize cross-regional communication and open a common area between Woodleaf and San Crypsis, so that everyone can make more friends without going out and promote the common progress of Woodleaf and San Crypsis. Everyone's eyes lit up when they heard this. The dream world, which was only used to encourage themselves, suddenly became more interesting. However, just as everyone's curiosity was piqued, Shushi added, "Of course, it's very difficult to update this content in a short period of time. I estimate that it'll be good if it can be updated once every 3 years." Everyone, who was excited by Garashi's update content, was instantly at a loss. "It can't be. You just finished talking and you're delaying the update, Garashi-sama. Where's your conscience? I really want to lock Garashi-sama in a small dark room and not let him eat if he doesn't update." Garashi turned a blind eye to these resentful eyes. This technique was related to some of his future plans, so it was better to slow down a little. If he rushed it, it would be easy to go out of control. This technique only allows you to see your own growth. The real cultivation depends on you. Garashi smiled. "And this is the first lesson I'm teaching you." As soon as his voice fell, everyone clapped their hands wildly. Apart from delaying the update, this technique is indeed super powerful. Even the teachers of the San Crypsis school couldn't help but sigh. Compared with Garashi, their teaching methods were indeed a bit backward. Seeing the enthusiasm of the leaks, Garashi was also very moved. They're all lovely people. Although they were suspected of being enemies, Garashi didn't care. According to Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shursui, he has now transcended the narrow-minded village doctrine and nationalism, and his vision has been set on the whole ninja world. After all, I'm the man who wants the whole world to be my wings. Chapter 295. Garashi's teaching of San Crypsis went on in an orderly manner. Except for returning to the village midway and handing over the technique to Woodleaf School, there were no twists and turns during the period. It's just that some of the students have awakened an attribute called liver. At such a young age, their hairline already has the demeanor of a strong person. This makes Shueisha a little worried about the quality of the Sans genes in the future. In this way, time passed slowly without him noticing. Half a year later, in Kazakage's office, Raza asked in surprise, "Garashi, are you ready to go back?" Garashi nodded slightly. "I've been in San Crypsis for half a year, and it's time to go back." "It's only half a year, it's still early." Seeing that Garashi was unmoved, Raza changed his words. "Garuda will give birth in 2 months. No matter what, you should wait until your little nephew is born before you go back." Garashi hesitated for a moment. 2 months? Okay then. Raza laughed. "That's right." Garashi asked, "Brother Raza, have you thought about the child's name?" Raza looked at him lovingly. "If it's a boy, call me Garuda. And if it's a girl, call her Chiba." "Very good names." Garashi nodded, and then asked hesitantly, "I heard that Brother Raza, you intend to make this child a Chibi's Jinchuriki? How do you know?" Raza stared and then scolded. "Are those bastards' mouths leaky? But forget it, anyway Garashi, you're not an outsider." Raza shook his head and then said in a deep voice, "Although Shikaka may have been scared by you and hasn't made any movements in the past 6 months, judging from its previous 3 outbursts, its hatred for San Crypsis is very deep. In this case, no one is willing to take over this troublesome task, so I can only take it on myself." Garashi asked, "If it's you, Brother Raza, you should be able to suppress a Chibi as a Jinchuriki, right?" Raza shook his head. "I can do it, but a Chibi won't improve my strength much. In order to make San Crypsis more powerful, it's necessary to make my child a Jinchuriki. This is a path full of thorns," Shushi said with a straight face. Raza clenched his fists. He is the child of the Kazakage, and is destined to bear unimaginable pressure. Furthermore, I believe that under the guidance of Jiaholuo and I, he will definitely be able to grow into an outstanding individual and control tailed beasts with his own will. Shushi asked again, "Did sister-in-law object?" Raza's Jinchuriki's is Ichibi's is Jinchuriku Raza's Jinchuriki's Ichibi's Churiki's Jinchuriki. He's Kazakage's Raza's Churchuriki. Raza panicked. How could this be? Isn't there still 2 months before the due date? The Jinchuriki who came to report shook his head and said, I don't know, but it may be because of emotional fluctuations. Emotional fluctuations. It shouldn't be, Raza said with a complicated look in his eyes. Did she know that I planned to make my child Ichibi's Jinchuriki? The Jinchuriki urged. Kazakage-sama, you'd better go and take a look. Raza came back to his senses and nodded repeatedly. You're right, I'll go now. Feeling uneasy, Raza left in a hurry, forgetting to inform Shushi of his arrival. Shushi, on the other hand, muttered to himself. Is it Garu? I'm still interested in the protection she gave Gaara. San Crips's hospital, outside the delivery room. Raza, who had rushed over, stopped outside the door, listening to the screams coming from the delivery room, and paced back and forth outside the door anxiously. Damn it, it was fine the first 2 times. Within a few minutes, a female doctor in a white coat came out. Raza hurriedly greeted her. Doctor, how is the situation? The female doctor naturally recognized his identity. Kazakage-sama, I'm sorry, Jadaro has a difficult birth. Raza took 2 steps back in horror. Premature birth plus a difficult birth was almost tantamount to a death sentence. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but whisper. Then what are you doing out here? Hurry up and go in to save her. The female doctor didn't care about Raza's gaffe and just sighed. It's useless for me to go in now. I can only stabilize the situation and see if Jadaro can hold on until Chiyo arrives. After a pause, she continued. Moreover, there is a decision that needs to be made by Kazakage-sama. Raza asked in a trance. What decision? The female doctor looked at him seriously. If it comes to the last step, are you going to save the mother or the child? Raza was silent for a moment and calmly spat out 2 words. Save the mother. I see. The female doctor nodded and was about to say something when the window on the side suddenly opened and Chiyo jumped in from outside. Where is she? At first, the female doctor was startled by Chiyo's unusual way of entering the door, but after she reacted, she hurriedly said, Chiyo-sama, she's inside. Then, Raza eagerly watched the 2 enter the delivery room. Although Elder Chiyo is usually not very reliable, she is still very reliable at critical moments. Raza forcibly hypnotized himself, but it didn't take long for the door to open again. Seeing Chiyo come out with a solemn face, Raza only felt that his heart was about to stop beating, for fear of hearing some bad news from Chiyo's mouth. Chiyo didn't keep him in suspense and asked directly, Where is she? Who? Raza wondered. Isn't Jadaro inside? I'm asking that boy Shimizu Garashi. Is he on good terms with you? Chiyo squinted at him. Garashi? Raza was puzzled again. Garashi is not a gynecologist, is he? Idiot, who do you think he is? Chiyo couldn't help but scold. He can even save Jiraiya from a fatal injury on the battlefield of Yunin. His medical ninjutsu is even above his teacher. Even if he has no experience in gynecology, with his medical ninjutsu, he can stabilize Jadaro's vital signs as much as possible and buy us time. Raza suddenly panicked. I'm going to find him. As soon as possible. Chiyo frowned. Jadaro is unwilling to give up the child. In this case, it will be difficult for us to keep her. Jadaro, you. Raza was shocked. Elder Chiyo, please do your best before I come back. But at this moment, an angelic voice came from the side window. Brother Raza, are you looking for me? Raza turned his head in surprise. Garashi, why are you here? I was a little worried, so I followed. Before he finished speaking, Garashi was pulled by Chiyo to the delivery room. Stop talking nonsense, hurry up and go in. Chapter 296. In order to avoid arousing suspicion, Garashi took the initiative to tear off a white cloth to cover his eyes after entering. For him, his perception ability is enough to perform medical ninjutsu. Chiyo glanced at him and didn't stop him. Try to preserve her vital signs as much as possible. Can you do that? Garashi made a gesture. No problem, leave it to me. The next moment, the powerful yang release chakra poured out of his body, like a green fluorescent light, wrapped around Garu's body, and penetrated into her body little by little. At this time, Garu's consciousness was already blurred, and she was only supported by her faith. The sudden addition of yang release chakra was like a clear spring, gradually restoring vitality to her dry heart. Seeing Garu's pale cheeks regaining color, and her body improving at a speed visible to the naked eye, the other nurses in the delivery room couldn't believe it, and looked at Garashi, as if they were worshipping a god. Even Chiyo was secretly shocked. To what extent is this kid's application of yang release chakra? Directly instilling vitality. This is beyond the scope of normal medical ninjutsu. After the shock, Chiyo quickly calmed down. Don't be stunned. Hurry up and perform the operation. The other nurses also woke up and cooperated with Chiyo to perform the operation. But they still secretly looked at Garashi's side face from time to time. Garashi didn't care about their gazes. His perception was all on Garu and Garu. When he first came in, Garu was already dying, and chakra was already showing signs of being wrapped around Garu's body. He could perceive that chakra contained incomparably strong faith. This faith was similar to what he perceived in Naruto at the time. Although the strength was much lower, it was instilled with a strong will. Azura's faith is still very difficult for me to comprehend, but Garu's will is much easier. Maybe I can try to use this as a bridge to figure out that power. Integrating chakra with spiritual will seems useless, but in fact there are many ways to apply it. Among other things, the Haushika Haki, he considered last time as one of them. Other than that, by attaching the chakra that contains one's will to others, when they are in danger, this chakra can be remotely revived. In a sense, this was the same as the chakra that Minato sealed in Naruto's body in the original track. Even if he died, even if he was still sealed in Shinigami's stomach, that chakra would still work. The Sage of the Six Paths drifted in the world in the form of chakra after his death. His two sons were also reincarnated in the form of chakra. Even Garalo's chakra could become Garalo's shield. It can be seen that the essence of chakra is an existence that transcends life and death. Garashi thought to himself, although he has been exploring the original power system of this world, it doesn't mean that he will underestimate the power of chakra. Even the Otsutsuki clan who crossed the starry sky is constantly harvesting the fruits of chakra, indicating that the essence of chakra is definitely not as simple as what the ninja world knows. While Garashi was thinking about this profound problem, the operation also reached the final step. Finally, with the sound of a baby crying, everyone in the room heaved a sigh of relief, as if a heavy burden had been lifted off their shoulders. Child, my child. Garalo also regained consciousness and called with difficulty. Several nurses hurriedly brought the palm-sized premature baby to Garalo. Garalo looked at Garalo lovingly and said gratefully, Elder Chiyo Garashi, thank you very much. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to accompany my child as he grows up. Chiyo took a deep look at Garalo. This little guy is a premature baby. His physical indicators can't be compared with normal children, but he is stronger than other children. Garalo wondered, what is it? Chiyo said in a deep voice, it's the desire for life. If it weren't for his own persistence, he might have become a stillborn before we arrived. Garalo looked at Garalo in shock. Child. It should be that sister-in-law's belief that you want him to live no matter what has passed to his heart. Sometimes, the spirituality of a newborn baby may be sharper than an adult. Garashi sighed. Because of his interference, Garalo lost the Meizenang cheat, but now it seems that he has gained something more precious. At the same time, in an underground money exchange, a tall ninja with a pair of dark green eyes threw the corpse on his shoulder on the counter and said concisely, exchange money. Yes, the person in charge here was very familiar with him, and without any unnecessary nonsense, he quickly entered the state of inspection. Black Thunder Yuichi with a bounty of 15 million ryo, Kakuzu-san. You brought back a great person. Kakuzu said indifferently. Not bad. After confirming that there was no mistake, the person in charge sealed Yuichi's body, then took out the bounty and handed it to Kakuzu. Kakuzu took the money and counted it back and forth 3 times before nodding with satisfaction. The amount is correct. Seeing this, the person in charge breathed a sigh of relief. No matter who the person in charge was, he didn't dare to deduct the bounty from this master. Just as he was sighing, Kakuzu suddenly asked, "Is there any information about that person?" The person in charge was startled for a moment, then nodded repeatedly. "There is. I'll buy a copy of his information. Kakuzu-san is our VIP customer. This information is a gift from us." Hearing that it was free, Kakuzu's emotionless, harmonious eyes looked at him a lot more kindly. Taking the information, Kakuzu carefully read it. He revealed to the people around that he has plans to leave the Sand Crypsis in the near future. "Oh, I've been waiting for this for so long." The person in charge cautiously reminded, "Kakuzu-san, with all due respect, that man is an existence that can't be killed. Even the 1 billion Rio bounty was only issued by some people to vent their anger." Kakuzu's eyes suddenly became dangerous. "You mean, they won't give me the money?" The person in charge was startled by Kakuzu's eyes and quickly explained, "That's not it. If you really have the ability to kill that person, I think those villages will definitely be willing to pay the money." "That's good." Kakuzu nodded calmly. "No matter how strong a person is, he will have a weakness if he has a bond." "Weakness?" The person in charge's eyes lit up. "You mean the 3 children he has with him?" Kakuzu looked at him calmly. "If other bounty hunters are interested, they can come to me." The person in charge's eyes suddenly lit up. "Let others take the lead, and you'll be responsible for the sneak attack. Maybe it's really possible to catch those kids and force them to submit." Kakuzu frowned slightly. Feeling that he was being looked down upon, he coldly snorted, "He's the second one who can make me sneak attack." The person in charge wondered, "Who's the first one?" "Hashirama Senju." After saying this sentence, Kakuzu turned around and left coolly. The person in charge was shocked. Could it be that the rumor is true? Kakuzu-san failed to assassinate the first Hokage Naruto and was punished by Takujin. And then he became a traitor. If that's the case, maybe Kakuzu-san can really kill Shimizu Garashi. Thinking of this, the person in charge's body trembled with excitement. This is a big event of this century. It might be the fuse that will reignite the war. Chapter 297. Because the body of a premature baby may have some sequelae of delayed development. In order to nurse Gaara's body, Garashi stayed in the Sand Crypsis for 2 months before he was ready to leave. At the gate of the Sand Crypsis, not only were there Kazekage, but also many people. "Garashi, thank you very much," Raza said with emotion. "The best decision I have made in my life was the suggestion I made to Sandaime Naruto in the Chunin exam. If at the beginning he still had the intention of deliberately making friends with him, then now he is grateful to him from the bottom of his heart. If it weren't for Garashi, he might have lost him forever." Every time he thought of this possibility, he felt a burst of fear and palpitations. "Everyone in the Sand Crypsis is very warm and friendly to me. This is like my second home, and I am very grateful to everyone for taking care of me." Garashi responded with a smile. As his voice fell, the crowd on both sides burst into a burst of cheers. "Garashi-sama, we should thank you for your guidance to our child. My child is also grateful for your care. Garashi-sensei, be sure to come again in the future." The 3 little guys behind Garashi were all moved. For them, who have never been to school, the memory of the past 6 months can be said to be precious. In addition to being moved, they were also proud. To be able to get such respect and love in other villages, only Garashi-sensei can do it. In a small valley, hundreds of people were crowded in a mess. Suddenly a voice sounded. "He's here, that man finally came out." As the voice fell, there was a burst of cheers in the valley. "That bastard still knows to leave. He also knows that he is Wood Leaf's man. Damn it. Does he know how hard we have been waiting?" They still know about Shimizu Garashi's status in the shinobi world. In order to avoid being exposed, after the failure of their first mission, they have been eating and drinking in the valley for the past 2 months. As for buying food and gathering information, they would choose one person to come out, and place a few dozen seals on that person's body. When that person returned safely, they would remove them. As a result, in just 2 months, the valley has become as smelly as a toilet. Even the wandering ninjas found it unbearable. For Kakuzu, the source of his pain was in another direction. It's been 2 months. Do you know how I spent the past 2 months? Kakuzu's expression was ferocious. For the past 2 months, he didn't dare to relax his focus on the sand crypsis. This also meant that he hadn't made any money for the past 2 months. I'll calculate the compensation for the loss of work for these 2 months with you. While Kakuzu was still angry, the leader of the wandering ninjas came over. Kakuzu-sama, when do we start? They dared to attack Shimizu Garashi because, on the one hand, they came from a small country, and they don't have an accurate concept of the so-called strong. Moreover, the number of people gave them courage. On the other hand, Kakuzu's legendary record gave them great confidence. He was able to assassinate First Daimyo Naruto and retreat safely. This kind of strength, even if not comparable to Shimizu Garashi, isn't it at least not far away? They have the advantage in numbers, and the other side has 3 burdens. In this case, they really can't help but be tempted by the 1 billion bounty. Kakuzu took a deep breath. The stench in the valley couldn't make his face change in the slightest. Let's wait for a while. When they get close to the land of fire and relax their vigilance, that will be the time for us to act. In a small village on the border of the land of fire. Let's stay here today. Garashi looked around and said, yeah. The 3 nodded in unison. Although they wanted to see everyone in the orphanage as soon as possible, they also knew that if they had a good rest at night, they would be more energetic tomorrow. After the 4 of them stayed in a hostel, the wandering ninjas who were secretly observing also began to act. This is a good opportunity. Chingshui Shushi is living separately from those 3 brats. Take advantage of this opportunity to catch the 3 kids. Divide some people to catch the owner of the hostel. With Shimizu Garashi's character, he certainly doesn't want to involve others. At this moment, in the room where the 3 of them were staying, Kabuto secretly opened his eyes. This sound, someone is hiding outside. He habitually maintained a light sleep, and immediately woke up when there was a slight movement. Although he wasn't sure how many people were outside, and whether the people outside were targeting them, Kabuto didn't intend to rely on himself. He knew very well that a moment of stubbornness will only bring more trouble to his teacher. In such a situation, he should take action at the first time, which is to report to his teacher. After making up his mind, Kabuto turned over without any hesitation and rushed to the door with mist and run. However, as soon as he rushed to the door, he was bounced back by an invisible wall. This is a barrier? Kabuto looked dignified. The 2 women also woke up at this time and looked around vigilantly. Several shadows emerged from the corner of the wall and smiled. Vigilance is good, but unfortunately, it's still too late. Don't think about asking your teacher for help. We opened a soundproof barrier. No matter how big the movement here is, he can't. Boom! The door of the room was suddenly pushed open, and the barrier was violently broken. Shusher walked in as if there was no one around. He chuckled softly and said, "Impossible what?" Several wandering ninjas who had just jumped into the room pointed at Garashi with trembling fingers. You, how did you find out? The ninjas who were hit by the barrier also couldn't believe it. Even if it's an army of 50 ninjas, it's impossible to break the barrier so quickly. Seeing her teacher, Ren was full of confidence. If you want to deal with teacher, you need at least a barrier that can seal 500 people. 500 people? A group of wandering ninjas stared at Rinpochian. It's hard to say whether their small countries can gather 500 ninjas. You hyenas have a good nose. Most likely I was targeted by you as soon as I came out of the sand crypsis, right? Garashi sighed. In order to have more peace in the future, it seems that I have to kill more people today. Hearing Garashi's sentence of death, the group of wandering ninjas panicked. Wait, we are very useful. Yes, don't you want to ask us who is behind this? Garashi smiled gently. Don't worry, I can still read the soul directly. Hearing Shuishi's words, the group of wandering ninjas swallowed their saliva with difficulty. For them, The secret technique of reading the soul is a bit far away. And even if they don't know it, they can feel the danger of this ability. At this time, a nervous and excited voice came from behind Garashi. Shimizu Garashi, if you don't want these two people to die because of you, surrender quickly. Chapter 298. They looked back and saw more than a dozen wandering ninjas, holding an old couple hostage, threatening them with trembling voices. If you only look at their trembling bodies, you would think that they were the ones being held hostage. Kabuto looked at them as if they were idiots. Are you stupid? We don't know them. What's the use of this threat? Rin also suppressed the unbearable feeling in her eyes and pretended to be disdainful. Who knows if they are with you? When we rescue them, you will launch an attack from the inside. The old man who was the owner of the hostel trembled. We don't know anything. Please let us go. The leader of the ninjas who held them captive also nodded. Look at how he's crying. He's so emotional. You can tell that we're not on the same side. Aren't you the conscience of the ninja world? Do you have the heart to watch two innocent people die because of you? The other wandering ninjas also spoke with conviction. Look at these two old guys cough. These two old guys are so miserable. Do you really have the heart? Yes, it's not easy for old people. Kabuto and the other two looked strange. Why do these words sound like they are the kidnappers? Very good, we will attract their attention like this. Kakuzu was hiding in the blind spot of the crowd, and the black lines floating out of his body were constantly moving along the ground. Shushi gently raised his right hand, scaring the wandering ninjas into retreating. I warn you, don't make any hand seals. If you make any hand seals, we will kill ourselves immediately after killing these two old guys. Garashi couldn't help but laugh. Don't worry, I won't make any hand seals. Listening to Garashi's words, they said the most ruthless words in the most cowardly tone. Humph. At least you know what's good for you. Garashi raised his right hand and put it between his eyebrows. Although I can't do a large-scale impact for the time being, such a close distance shouldn't be a big problem. Seeing Garashi muttering there, a group of wandering ninjas nervously asked, What are you talking about? Before they finished speaking, an almost substantial momentum burst out from Garashi's body. The surrounding floor and walls were cracked by the invisible pressure, and a group of wandering ninjas rolled their eyes and fainted, foaming at the mouth. Seeing these people fall to the ground with a plop, the two elders were shocked. What happened to them? Although the three little fellows didn't understand what was going on, at this time, they only needed to look at their teacher with eyes of worship. Kakuzu was also stunned by this terrifying spiritual pressure for a moment. When he woke up, he found that everyone around him was lying on the ground. He knocked everyone down in an instant. Damn it, what kind of ability is that? Shocked like this, Kakuzu suddenly froze. Wait, if they all fainted, then I who didn't faint? Thinking of this, Jiaodo turned his stiff neck and looked over, just in time to meet 6 pairs of harmonious eyes. Originally, he had been hiding in the dark, but now, he was like a crane among chickens. Although the atmosphere was a bit awkward, Kakuzu was still very calm. I didn't expect that after Hashirama, Leaf would have such an outstanding junior like you. Garashi smiled gently. I don't dare to compare myself with the first Hokage-sama. That's what I thought at first, but now my opinion has changed a little. Kakuzu said meaningfully. At least, Hashirama can't suppress me with his momentum alone. It's not that he can't do it, it's that you're not qualified to make him do it. Garashi thought in his heart, but before he could speak, Fog's eyes widened in shock. Did you fight with the first Hokage-sama? How old are you this year? The corner of Kakuzu's mouth twitched slightly. Shouldn't you be shocked by his strength? With a cold snort, Kakuzu directly broke through the wall to escape. If you're not afraid of death, then follow me. However, just as he escaped to the courtyard, he saw Garashi already waiting there. Before I moved in, I left a few flying thunder god marks around in advance. And now it seems that it has some effect. Kakuzu's face sank. This kid doesn't know the meaning of caution? Oh, I'm really underestimated. No matter what, he was an old man who survived from the Warring States period. And since he made up his mind, he wouldn't hesitate. Yuyuan mode. Yamada no Orochi. 2 masks appeared on his left and right shoulders, and then 8 giant black lines were released from his body, like a black snake, rushing toward Garashi. Wind release, Raisin Shuriken. In the face of such a powerful attack, Shushi calmly threw the shuriken condensed in his hand at the opponent. Boom! The materialized chakra expanded rapidly, turning into countless sharp wind blades, instantly cutting the kuroshio that filled the sky. Seeing that his tentacles couldn't even stop the opponent for a moment, Kakuzu's pupils suddenly shrank, and the masks on his left and right shoulders opened their mouths at the same time. Compound ninjutsu, flame storm, wind release and fire release were intertwined together, and the wind stimulated the fire, creating a huge sea of fire in an instant. However, Garashi obviously has more chakra than him, and he directly used chakra to suppress him, creating a small lake on the ground. Water release, great waterfall technique. No matter what kind of ninjutsu it is, it will be restrained by me. Kakuzu's eyes were cold, and the mask on his chest opened its mouth and released a lightning, which spread along the water, and almost instantly reached Garashi. Then, the lightning was blocked by a layer of ice. Ice release. Kakuzu took a deep breath, and 2 masks appeared on his left and right knees. Compound ninjutsu, 5 elements rotation. 5 different attributes of ninjutsu converged into a terrible energy storm, and it seemed that even the light was distorted. Is this the limit? Facing this terrible power, Garashi was a little disappointed. Compared with Sandaime-sama's combination ninjutsu, it's still a lot worse. After all, Kakuzu's 5 attributes were obtained by taking the heart, and the combination of the 5 attributes is more or less stagnant. But on the other hand, to be able to use an ability that doesn't belong to him to this extent, he is indeed very powerful. After sighing, Garashi directly entered Sage mode, and then divided into 3 shadow clones, and the shadow clones and the main body at the same time made the action of throwing shurikens. Senjutsu, wind release, water release, earth release, ice release, spiral shuriken. Senjutsu, chakra, you can do whatever you want. 4 extremely terrifying shurikens erupted, and in front of Kakuzu's shocked eyes, they destroyed his combined attack in an instant, and then rushed towards him without any reduction in power. Because the range of this technique is too large, Kakuzu ruled out the option of escape. Damn it, I can only fight. Kakuzu first used Earth Release, Earth Spear to increase his body's defense to the limit, and then several earth walls were shot out. Then it was too late for him to do anything else. The next moment the terrible energy storm swallowed him. Sound and light disappeared, and the world was silent. After a long time, the aftermath dissipated. The surrounding walls and houses were destroyed, and there was a huge hole in the middle, and Kakuzu's body was lying in it, and he seemed to be dead. Kakuzu was also depressed. He was planning to fight with chakra, and if the situation is not good, he will immediately die to escape. Anyway, he has 5 lives, and dying once is not a big problem. But now the situation is a bit bad. Just one attack destroyed 4 of his hearts, and if he continues to fight, he may be killed. Now he can only play dead. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe, and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.